Yeah, my name is Franz Böhm. I'm the director of Dear Future Children, a documentary about three activists worldwide. And I'm just very pleased. This is my first feature-length film, and that we will have our UK nationwide release in just a couple of days.
Great, and it's been shown across 100 different cinemas in the UK, is that correct?
That is correct, yes. We are partnering with Picture House Cinemas and Odeon Cinemas to really bring it to every possible place and city.
Amazing, amazing. And so you have chosen to tell three different stories, and one of the incidents in Hong Kong with the uprising, and then with regards to Chile, I believe it was, and then a climate activist in Uganda. They're obviously three different stories, and I'm just curious, how did the two different stories come to you? Why did you decide to tell those stories precisely? And on top of that, like we're very well aware of obviously what happened in Hong Kong, because it eventually got like a lot of mainstream coverage, and I think also the Chile uprising got a fair amount. And broadly, with COP26, just we know about the climate crisis, but many people might not be that familiar about what happened in Uganda. So I'm just curious about how those three stories you decided to put them together.
Surely. So during the beginning of 2019, our whole team had a huge fascination for young, modern, worldwide activism, and we just definitely wanted to learn more about it. And at that time, many people spoke about young activists. Many other people shared their opinion about them, but very rarely people spoke with them, actually. That's something we wanted to change. We were in touch. We researched 11 different protest movements all across the globe. We researched on the ground. We spoke with many other young filmmakers. We obviously spoke with many activists on the ground. And at the end, we chose three movements that all have a clear democratic majority behind their core goals. We chose three movements that are mainly youth-led. And also, we chose three movements that had a deciding time during the last 2 or 3 years. So obviously in Hong Kong, we were able to feel that quite soon there will be a decision on how successful the movement itself will be. And obviously for us, it was quite interesting that these three movements were quite different from each other, not only from a geographical standpoint, but also from kind of the society development when it comes to protest itself. So in Hong Kong, obviously, the citizens there are very experienced with protest movements. They experienced that during the last 20 years. And in Uganda, Hilda is one of the first real climate activists there, and she had to really found Fridays for Future from the ground up and had to develop it herself.
Yeah, I think also what's most striking about that was obviously that two other protest movements had a lot of people around them, right? So there's a lot of people there joining and to kind of take action, but those scenes where she was standing alone on a kind of busy, polluted road with her placard, really, and there's what makes it different is in a country that's obviously preoccupied with development. A lot of people, they have to fight for their income, and getting the message about the climate crisis across is very different from in Sweden or Germany, for instance, for example, to actually a country where it might not be people just concerned about earning a living. It might not be in mind. So I think that her being alone and really trying to get her fellow citizens across to the cause. And many people haven't heard about climate change probably before.
That is absolutely true. And I think that's one of the main challenges that Hilda has to face in Uganda, is that, many people are not yet fully aware of the consequences of climate change. Many people don't really know how to act against it, how to prepare. And that's something that she wants to change with her activism, which is obviously mainly also communicating these problems that they have to her communities.
Mm. Yeah, and just out of interest, for how long of a period did you follow these individual activists?
So we stayed with them for 3 months each, and we filmed in Hong Kong twice, 2 times. So the first filming block was in July, August, September 2019, and we went there again in June and July 2020 during the introduction of the national security law.
Excellent, excellent. And do you think that, for instance, in terms of Hilda's case, did you witness any kind of changes in them to that period in terms of actually as a character they grew as characters? One thing I know about Hilda is that it was very hard for her because it came across as very hard because obviously she was on her own, and she had to make a choice being to fulfill all her travel engagement, to be away for her family, and I guess she was nervous about how she was gonna approach things.
That is true. I think during the time when we accompanied Hilda, it was a very important time for her. It was a time where she really decided that she actually wants to do this, that she's in it for the long run. Obviously, Hilda is facing the most brutal opponent, if you want to say so. She's facing an opponent that you can't simply beat with a political coup or a political majority. And I think specifically her invitation to the C40 climate summit in Copenhagen was a deciding moment. That was a moment where she decided, okay, she is going there. She's going to prepare a speech, and that also means a real commitment to her activism itself.
Yeah, I have to say I was quite surprised because when she was sitting around the round table with the other people she met there, and I guess the people who were guiding her, and talking about what she wanted to say, she seemed like half, if you like, say a little bit unsure maybe, but then she gave up and she delivered this like amazing speech that took the whole room away.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, and I think that's kind of the development you can see in Hilda's character throughout the movie, is that she started her whole activism because she was affected by it, not because she's naturally extremely gifted or extremely talented. That's something that she has to learn through hard work, and I think that process, that work, is displayed in the film as well.
Yeah, it's the passion, isn't it? It's a passion that's kind of going through, or the passion, or the determination, or I guess in her words is that there was like it was crucial for their survival as communities, right? That something changed because she envisions how many things have changed even in her short lifetime.
Exactly.
So I just wanted to broadly, as you touched on this in the beginning of the interview, in terms of actually the importance of youth activism, and it's something you have seen rising to the forefront of late. And I just think with this film, what precise message do you want to portray about youth activism in general?
Listen to them, I think, is the main message that we want to transport here. We as a film team, even after the experiences on the front lines, we can't advise any specific political change. We mainly want these stories to be heard, and we are working hard to create a good international platform so that this film reaches a broad audience, and also not only the people within the activism bubble itself, but many people from outside as well. So that's, I think, our main goal with this film.
And obviously there has been a more focus and a more prevalence of youth activism. If you were to think about climate change in general, then Thunberg and her movement, which obviously the movement Hilda's have a focus. Do you see like the media is picking up more and they're featuring more youth activism, or do you still think there's a far way to go?
I think there's still a far way to go, and I think something that is that we realized quite early on is that when media outlets are speaking about young activism, it happens quite often that they each either feature the most prominent voice or the most extreme voice. None of these two are really representative for the core of the protest movement, for the backbone of the protest movement. That's something that we wanted to change with the selection of our protagonists, which obviously aren't very famous and also aren't very, very extreme. They are just from the backbone of the movement. And I think that's something that we all still need to work on. In-depth research and in-depth following of the people on the ground is still something which is obviously very tricky, something that's quite complicated, but that's where we need to focus.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good point, because I think obviously I think Greta Thunberg herself has said that she wanted not to be the only voice of Friday for Future. She wanted a lot more different voices represented in who are doing the same kind of work across the country, but naturally the media gravitate towards her, don't they? And her fight in Sweden and stuff like that. And it's basically, I think there was actually a summit last year where one of the other activists who was with her were cut out of a photo to time or something like that. So yeah, I think that's a good point. And I guess another thing that people are there's a lot of frustration for activists by this, that what do they know? You know, they're only young people. They don't know real life yet and stuff like that. Do you think that's something that needs to be a myth that has to be dealt with as well?
Yeah, I mean, that's wrong. Obviously, I think Hilda specifically, Hilda has experienced, Hilda lost her home village when she was 11, had to flee across her whole country just to build a whole new life. I think that's just an argument that's completely invalid. And that is, I think, a very, very simple answer. It's a very simple way out of a real discussion by you could
but
just say,
it's also very much a headline grabbing front page of a news, isn't it? Like of courting division or debate, really, if you like, kind of thing. But there has been a lot of headlines where people seek to divide young activists from the rest of the population, right?
That is true. Absolutely. Yeah.
In terms of looking away from the UK, what other plans do you have for the film? Are you in talks with other countries on national releases as well?
We had a really amazing release here in Germany approximately 1 month ago, and we are also looking forward to releases in Switzerland and Austria as well. And there are many, many special screenings, special events that we are currently planning with youth groups, NGOs. We also have quite ambitious plans in Chile. We had a release in Canada also approximately 1 month ago. So yeah, quite exciting times.
And what would you say, like people watching the film and obviously getting concerned about the issues that's shown in film, what should they do to kind of update themselves about what the current situation is in those countries?
Our film is only a very, very small piece of the whole big discussion and debate about young activism itself. I think there are many, many cool and very helpful sources so people can stay updated when it comes to the situation in Uganda, for example, Chile as well. There are many impressive NGOs and also, for example, activists in exile here in the UK and Germany that you can follow if you want to stay updated regarding the situation in Hong Kong. I think there are loads of opportunities that people can follow up on.
Excellent. Yeah. What's next for yourself? What is your next project? Are you working on anything particular, or are you just working mainly on promoting this?
So with the same core team, we are now approaching our next project, which is in early development, which will be a fictional feature film, and I think that will be quite exciting to get that into real development now during the next few months.